Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Sam, and in today's video, I can't believe it is time to film my monthly wrap up for October. So I am filming this on October 31st, so happy Halloween. I hope everybody had a happy and safe Halloween weekend. In October, I ended up reading 20 books, which is insane. I don't know how I managed that. Actually, a bunch of these are just novellas. Let's just jump in and chat about the books that I read in October because there is quite a few. Grab a snack, grab a drink, and settle in. And let me know what you read in October. I'd love to chat with you. I feel like it's been an age since I read some of these books, so hopefully with my notes we can figure out what I was feeling. But starting out the month, I read Firefight by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 2 in the Reckoner series. This is like a sci-fi dystopian kind of, I guess it's not sci-fi. It's very much, is it sci-fi? Do I even know what sci-fi means? This series follows Earth like many years into the future where there are superheroes, but the superheroes are the bad guys and they have these abilities that, in a sense, can lead to mass destruction. Obviously, there are different abilities depending on the person, but in this one, obviously, I can't say too much about it, but there is a group of people who are trying to fight against the people who have powers. And in this one, the world opened up a bit more. We got to see a bit more like different places that have been taken over, and I find the series is just a lot of fun. It is YA, so it's pretty easy to read, and I read it from the library on my Kobo, so I feel like I can get through those books even quicker. I feel like we got some changing relationship dynamics in this one, which were very interesting. A bit more like moral questioning of what their actual purpose and intent is in this like anti supernatural ability group. But I feel like with this one, there wasn't much plot. We're really following one or two main people with the abilities. And it did give a bit of second book syndrome where we're trying to bridge this gap. We're trying to learn more information and take down a few more bad guys. I feel like there just wasn't as much happening as I was hoping. And I rated Firefight 3.5 stars. Book number 2 is Lady of Embers by Melissa K. Rorick, and I believe this is book 4 in the Lady of Darkness series, but I ended up rating this 3 stars. Unfortunately, I just did not really enjoy this book. I like that we got some answers to what was happening at the end of book 3, but the vast majority of this book was our characters just having the same conversations and talking about what they were going to do. We never actually saw them doing anything. There was one part in particular where the bad guys came to do like a surprise attack, and then they were like, oh yeah, but we'll give you some time to chat about what your decision is of our demands. Like, why are we talking about this again? Just fight them, get rid of them, and mosey on. Get rid of the bad guys. What are you doing? So yeah, I don't know. I really thought that I was going to go into this series and like it a lot more. I really like the world. I really like the side characters. I really like the overall plot. Just the way that it's being handled is not my favorite. And I think that Scarlet is just really not my favorite. She was being a bit of a tyrant in this one as well, and just making weird and bad calls. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see how this series wraps up, but I really thought that this was going to be like 5, 6 star series for me, and I'm really disappointed that it's not shaping up that way. There have been a couple books that I really loved, but yeah, I just wish it was doing things a little bit differently, I guess. Next, I read Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross, and I ended up rating this 3.5 stars as well. I went into this really having no idea what it was about, which was definitely a fault. This is a prequel to the Divine Rivals duology, which follows the gods and all their relationships and how we kind of get into the state that we're in come the Divine Rivals duology. But I feel like it was just meandering. I couldn't really figure out what we were trying to focus on. So for a lot of it, I found myself very confused at what the purpose was. We're following gods, and there's a war happening in the gods' realms, but there's also a war happening in the human lands. So I was just very confused what to focus on. I feel like we were skirting the edges of these wars for a lot of the time. And then the main relationship in this book, I also didn't buy. Like their history didn't make sense. But I do love how in the end we kind of come for full circle with everything. So unfortunately, I think this one just didn't work for me. I found the writing to be different to the Divine Rivals duology, which I feel was very lyrical and poetic and romantic, especially. And I just didn't get those same feelings reading this new book. Next, I read The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Laurie Gilmore. This is book 2 in the Dream Harbor series. And in this one, we are following Hazel and Noah. And Hazel is feeling like she's missing out. She didn't take advantage of her 20s and she's coming up on her 30th birthday. And Noah is like the town flirt. He doesn't really stick around. He's kind of here, there, everywhere, and is just overall not a very serious guy. And Hazel works at the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore and finds these dog ear marked highlighted books popping up everywhere that she thinks is leading her on like a scavenger hunt, or she wants to use as a scavenger hunt for anticipation of her 30th birthday, and ropes in Noah to help her. This book I've seen marketed as a friends to lovers, and I don't feel like that's the case. It's very insta love and very physical in my opinion, and I feel like just not much really happens after the initial like introduction of this like scavenger hunt thing, and I just wish we got to see more of that, more of them like coming together and doing activities together and like learning about each other, I guess. And Noah also had this side project that he was working on, sort of in secret, that I wish that we got to see more of him developing. Like it felt very much like just a side piece of information to give Noah some depth and intrigue, but I feel like nothing really came out of it. So I ended up giving this 3 stars. This series for me is fun, but it's nothing, I don't know, it's not super deep or anything super revolutionary. I keep hoping that they're gonna continue to get better. So here's hoping. I think they're very cute and like atmospheric, being set in different seasons. So that part's fun. Next, I read People Watching by Hannah Bonham Young, which this one, Wild Reference and One More Book, is in one of my past vlogs that I did this month. So if you want to see me read these books and have more live reactions, definitely check that out. But I ended up rating this a 4.5 stars. I absolutely loved this book so much. I thought it was so sweet. I loved the small town setting that this was in. I loved our characters. I feel like their backstory and the things that they were going through allowed the way that they behaved and the actions that they took make a lot more sense. So in this one, we're following Prue, who has lived in this small town her whole life. She's kind of the town sweetheart and hasn't really done anything with her life. And she is helping her dad take care of her mom, who has early onset Alzheimer's. And I really love their family relationships. They are so painful and beautiful and I don't know, just very special. And in comes Milo, who is this kind of free guy that's all traveling all around, never stays in one place for too long, has had a number of relationships, and he comes home with his younger sister to help their brother set up this new brewery that he is starting in this small town. And there's like a lot of baggage for them to work through. And like I mentioned earlier, I feel like given their history and the things that they've gone through, the relationship that they spark up together makes a lot of sense. I kind of felt like they were both on the same page, level playing ground, all of those things. My only really critique or thing that I wish was a bit different was that we got more of Milo's backstory and a bit more like unpacking his family trauma. But other than that, I absolutely love them together. I kept getting swoony butterflies Next, I listened to If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia and ended up rating this 4 stars. I thought the narrators, first of all, did a fantastic job, and I just loved the 90s setting, even though I was born in 1998, so I don't have a lot of the memories of growing up in the 90s, or I mean, I didn't grow up in the 90s at all. I was very much an early 2000s kid, but it still felt so nostalgic. And I think like with watching the late 90s, early 2000s TV shows and movies, I feel like that helped a lot. I do wish there was a bit more to the plot. It's very much character focused, but not in the depth as some other character focused books that I've read. And I do feel like the middle was a little bit slow. And I don't know, the ending was a bit predictable and how like everything was gonna come out. But I don't know. This book felt like a warm hug. I thought it was so sweet, very nostalgic, very atmospheric, and just perfect for this time of year. I just loved it. In this one, we are following Michelle, who recently lost her mom and is taking over running her mom's inn while her dad grieves a bit more, and her sister finishes up art school, and she meets Cliff, who is the next door neighbor and also owns the bakery, and it's just like a very sweet single dad. I love seeing the like kids growing up and their relationships that were formed. It was just a really really sweet story. I feel like I'm going to have to hurry up. I feel like I've been talking on and on for each of these books already, but the next book that I read was Soul Searching by Lila Sage, and I ended up rating this 3.5 stars. I thought this was really sweet. I really liked the town that this was set in, and I liked the plot of the story, but I feel like there just wasn't much depth to this book at all. In this one, we're following Collins, who is moving back to her small town to try to help reconnect. She and her twin sister experience seeing and being able to interact with ghosts, but something has happened and she can't hear the ghosts anymore, and she feels like she's missing a part of herself. So she's trying to come home and reconnect with them and ends up living with Brady in his second apartment that's available. And he is an upholsterer, and he's recently moved to this small town just looking for a fresh start. And I kind of formed this bond of trying to help each other explore the town. And I loved getting the history of the town, but it just, I don't know, it just felt like it was missing something. I thought it was really fun, a very atmospheric fall read, but you just needed a bit something extra. Next, I started the new Amazon short story series. I think it's called Scared Sexy, but the first one is Hot for Slayer by Ellie Hazelwood. I ended up rating this a generous 3 star. In this one, we're following a vampire and a vampire hunter who have been alive for many, many years and are destined to like kill each other essentially. I feel like there was some Buffy the Vampire Slayer vibes in this book, but not the same. I feel like the lore of the Vampire Slayer was very convoluted and didn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't know, I just didn't love our characters' dynamic. I found it to be very strange, and then like all of a sudden they are together. I don't know. I know that it was a novella, but it just didn't quite give me what I was hoping for. It was kind of cringy, like millennial, very typical Allie Hazelwood, but just unfortunately didn't quite work for me. Next, I read Glorious Rivals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which is the second book to the Grandest Game trilogy, which is a spinoff to the Inheritance Games trilogy. And I ended up rating this 3 stars. I feel like, again, this was kind of case of middle book syndrome. In this one, we're following a group of characters who are playing this game set in place by the characters of the Inheritance Games. They're uncovering some family secrets and also just trying to win the prize. But I feel like with this one, there wasn't nearly as many clues or puzzles that they had to solve, and it was a lot more about the relationships. And so I don't love the characters in this series, and so unfortunately this one just didn't quite work for me. I did enjoy that it was connected to the last book that she released, which I think was called Games Untold, which was like a series of bonus stories. And so I think that is going to play into a lot of book 3, but I'm very excited for this third book to come out and I can be finished with the series. Next, I read The Reaper by Melissa K. Rorick. This is a novella that comes after Lady of Embers, and I ended up rating this 3 stars. This follows one of the side characters where we get their backstory, and I feel like we just basically got the whole story in Lady of Embers, and it was very much repetitive. It just didn't really add much to the character or the main plot at all. There was a bit of context, obviously, to what this character has been going through, but I don't know, I just don't feel like it added anything. So, unfortunately, this was not as good as, again, I was hoping. I was really excited to hear about this character once I realized this is who it was about. I was being very cryptic, but I don't want to give anything away, and I would definitely spoil it if I say anything else. Next, I listened to Accidentally Amy by Lynn Painter. I was really just looking for something quick and fun to listen to, and this is exactly what it gave. I ended up rating this 3 stars. This was kind of your classic rom-com vibes. In this one, we're following Izzy, who is waiting for her pumpkin spice latte, is running late, and the person calls out Amy, and she ends up having the exact same order as Izzy. And Izzy goes and takes this coffee, says that she is Amy, and then runs into this guy who very quickly have a connection, but come to find out he is her new boss. And so it's kind of this forbidden workplace romance, just like a silly time. I feel like a lot of the lines and things in this book would be very cringy or very, yeah, I guess really just cringy most of all. But for some reason, the way that this book and audiobook was done, I thought it was just hilarious and really just had a really fun time reading it. Next, I read Stars Above by Marissa Meyer. This is the last book in the Lunar Chronicles series. It's a collection of bonus stories and like an extended epilogue. And I really enjoyed seeing more of our characters from this series and their backstory and how they kind of came to be in the situation where we find them in the main story. And then once we get to the last story, it was really fun just to see everybody back together again. And it was just a really sweet, beautiful ending to the series. So I ended up rating this 3.5 stars. I do feel like it took me a minute to get back into this because it has been quite a while since I read the Lunar Chronicles, but I did really enjoy it and I thought it was a great wrap up. Next, I read the next short story in the Scared Sexy series. So I read Falling by Christina Lauren, and I ended up rating this 3 stars. This felt a bit like a nothing book to me. It was quick and cute, but I just feel like there wasn't much substance. We're following our female main character who is going to this Halloween costume party with her boyfriend, who is like the worst, and she ends up breaking up with him over text at this party and gets it on with this demon monster mythical being. I don't know. I still don't really know what he was supposed to be, but yeah, it just, I don't know, felt kind of strange and was very quick to the spice, but also didn't really give much. So 3 stars, it was fine. Next, I read These Summer Storms by Sarah McLean, and I ended up rating this 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed this book. This was like family drama. In this one, we are following Alice, who is the child of this very wealthy tech guy who recently passed away, and Alice has to come back to their family's island for the funeral. And they had a falling out about 5 years ago, and we don't know why, but everything is a bit tense. And we come to find out that in order for everybody to get their inheritance, they have to complete these tasks. So we're very focused on everybody completing their tasks and sort of working through these family dynamics and everything, and it was just so interesting. I do feel like being in Alice's head, obviously we see a lot more of her experiences and her thoughts, and a lot of the time she's very much focused on what happened to her because of this exile and was never really thinking about any of her other family members and what they might have been going through. But that was really my only complaint. But I thought, oh, this was just so much fun. Next, I read Spicy Little Curses by J.T. Geisinger. This is the third short story in the Scared Sexy series, and I ended up rating this 4.5 stars. I thought this was just phenomenal. In this one, we are following our main character, who is a journalist, and she's in New Orleans trying to trace some story for newspaper, the magazine that she is working for. And I just really loved like the voodoo New Orleans curses and everything vibe. I feel like we don't really see that a lot in books. And I just found it to be very interesting. I feel like even though it was a very short story, there was a lot of backstory. The backstory made sense. We had a good connection between our characters and there was a good plot. And I just had the best time. I was smiling and giggling and freaked out. The monster that they were tracking was terrifying. So I just had a great time with that. Next, I read Fearful by Lauren Roberts. This is the newest novella in the Powerless series. I'm not really going to go into who this follows because it might be a bit of a spoiler. This follows the people that I kind of expected it to follow, but not in the way that I thought. We are in like a third party's POV, which doesn't make a lot of sense. And I feel like we don't really get into the characters' heads or have that personal relationship with them. And I just found this to be written very weird. Like, I don't really understand the choices that were made to write it this way. And I feel like we just didn't get any questions answered. There's no really additional information in this book. And with the character that we are in the POV of, I feel like their presence in Iliad doesn't make any sense. Unfortunately, this was 2 stars. Next, I read Happily Never After by Lynn Painter, and I actually listened to this on audio. I gave this one 3 stars. I, again, thought this was just a silly, goofy, fun time. In this one, we are following our female main character who hires somebody to come object at her wedding because she finds out that her fiance cheated on her multiple times. And her and this objector form this unlikely friendship and start objecting together and just end up becoming friends. And I really liked their connection. Again, I thought the banter was funny, very sarcastic, silly relationship. But the physical presence of their relationship and the reasoning for it didn't make a lot of sense to me, and I just didn't like that choice. I thought it was strange and didn't make a lot of sense. So for that reason, I rated it 3 stars, but I did have a good time with it and I thought it was fun. And also the male narrator for this book also did If It Makes You Happy. So when he popped up, I was like, Cliff, is that you? Next, I read Space Vampire by Ruby Dixon. this was interesting. I think I've settled on like a 3.5 star for this one. We are following our female main character who is being kept as a pet for a group of aliens. And these aliens are also doing experiments and made this like alien vampire hybrid. And something happens and everybody leaves the space station and only our female main character and the vampire are still there. We kind of figure out what happens from there. I thought it was kind of silly but sweet, but also it was okay. It was very short, very quick, a silly fun time. Then I read Beautiful Nightmare by Katie Robert in this Scared Sexy series, and I think I'm settling on like a 2 star for this one. This one just did not work for me. In this one, we are following a demon who has to go into this human realm and feed off of somebody's fear, except she doesn't like the taste of fear. She likes the taste of lust. She ends up in this guy's room and has some unlikely experiences. I just did not really enjoy this one, and found it to be kind of cringy, and I didn't really like the MMC. So, just two more books to go. I ended up listening to The Blonde Identity by Ali Carter, and this was so much fun. I think I'm settling on like a 4-star rating for this one. In this one, we are following our female main character who wakes up with amnesia in the middle of like a spy mission, and she's not sure how she got there, and she's not sure who the people are that are chasing her, and she forms a friendship, or I guess a partnership, with our male main character, and they're trying to, do spy stuff. And I thought the narrators did a fantastic job. I just absolutely loved it and had the best time. And the last book that I read in October was Holly by Adeline Grace. This is the novella, even though it's the longest novella I've ever seen in my life, that takes place in the Belladonna series, and it's kind of the Christmas special of like your favorite TV show. This was just so sweet. I loved having all of the characters together trying to solve this ghostly mystery and find the best presents for each other. It was just very sweet. I loved the like underlying messaging. And I also just absolutely love all the artwork that is in this book. I think it's just so beautiful. And I've just really had the best time reading this. I've been smiling and giggling and just so heartwarming. This was the best Christmas book to start the season with. But that is everything for today's video. I had a very reading heavy month this month. Not a lot of like super amazing books, a lot of 3 stars, which is definitely still a good rating. And I had a really, really fun reading month. So as always, let me know down below what you read in the month of October. I would love to chat with you, and obviously add more books to my TBR as well. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a like so that I know, and I hope that you have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.